Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Let's Talk Kizomba. Good evening, Dario.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk Kizomba. It is a community talk show coming to you live on Facebook and YouTube. It's for dancers, teachers, DJs, promoters and organisers to share, discuss, debate and of course talk about the current topics. No topic is too taboo. We'll be discussing all subjects with no exception. You're all encouraged to submit your questions and join in. It's more than a conversation. Your dance, your opinion, your show. So tonight the topic is Kizomba lessons, and we're going to start with Andrea, who is a teacher. Andrea, introduce yourself to the viewers.
Good evening, my name's Andrea. I run Zumba Night in Camberwell. I teach at various venues across London, and I also run my own event, a salsa event down in Bognor Regis, near where I live. I've been dancing for many years, and lessons are obviously a key part of anybody's entrance to the Kizomba scene and the Kizomba dance floor. Hopefully you'll be able to give us your feedback on lessons you go to, lessons you'd like to go to, what you like about them, what you don't like about them. We want to hear your opinion about the Kizomba lessons available at the moment, and that's right across the dance scene, not just London, it's right across the dance scene.
We have another host with us, Super Dixon. Welcome to the show, Super Dixon. Tell your crowd about yourself.
Hello. The music is still playing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry. It was doing me a mess. Yes. Yeah, my name is Super Dixon. Apologies today. I cannot have a screen today. My camera is broken, but I'm here. Good to be back to Let's Talk Kizomba. I'm a Kizomba instructor. I'm a DJ. I'm a events organizer, Kizomba follow-up educator, and I am what you call international UK artist, because I travel the whole UK teaching Kizomba and DJing around the countries of the United Kingdom. I'm happy to be back here.
Thank you, Super Dixon. And we have a panel that is full of experience, dancing experience in both salsa and Kizomba. We'll quickly introduce you to the panel. We have Foxy. Good evening, Foxy. How are you?
Good evening. Hi. Sorry, I had my mute on. Hi, I'm Winston Fox, avid Kizomba dancer for 12 years now. Originally coming via salsa, which I started for 2 years in 2010. Migrated from salsa into Kizomba and haven't looked back since. And I dance literally every week, and I'm now part of Rico Suave's performance team.
Okay, thank you, Foxy. We have Petronia also on the panel. Petronia, welcome.
Hi, everyone. Hi, I'm Petronia Coleman, also an avid Kizomba dancer from a dance and salsa background. Dancing Kizomba about the same amount of time, 12 years, 13 years maybe. Dance around the country, do festivals, attend classes as much as I can. Really love the vibe and the greater Kizomba family. That's me.
Thank you, Petronia. Sonia, quickly introduce yourself to our adoring crowd, please.
Thanks, Gary, and hi, everyone. My name's Sonia. I think I've been dancing for more than 12 years, if I check back. Originally from the salsa background, still dance salsa when I can. But I think my love for Kizomba overrides salsa. I do as many festivals as I can, and here and abroad, and I dance probably only about twice a week now. Like to do more, but I'm not a great traveller. I don't like going south, so yeah, I'll stick to East and Central London. That's me.
Okay, thank you to the panel and the host. So, to everyone watching and listening, that is our group, the host and the panel. Tonight's topic is Kizomba lessons, and it's part one of the Kizomba lessons series. So, we're going to tuck straight into this subject, and we're going to go firstly to our host, Andrea. Andrea, Kizomba lessons, yeah?
Yes.
Class. What is your definition of a Kizomba lesson? What are you as a teacher trying to get over to the student? So you're teaching. What is it in a Kizomba lesson? What is it about a Kizomba lesson that you want to get across to the student that comes to your class?
First and foremost, I'm trying to get across my passion for this dance, my passion for Kizomba, Angola. So that's my main thing, and for people to have fun in the lesson and to have fun once they hit the dance floor. So do you mean, am I trying to teach them steps? Am I trying to teach them to listen to the music? Am I trying to help them connect to the dance? It's all of those things, but mostly it's about sharing my passion for a dance that I love and that I think other people can get enjoyment from. So it's varied. Sometimes it is hitting home with those foundation steps, trying to get people to connect to the music because the music is the master. The music is what guides us through the whole of the dance, not the steps. It's the music. For me, it's the music. It's the connection to the music, to the melody, to the words, to instruments that are playing in the song, to maybe the message within the song. Because I lead and I follow, so I try to connect with the female, the followers and the leaders, and try and get them to both understand that but it's a conversation between the two of them and the music, and trying to get them to connect to that.
Okay, that's a very comprehensive explanation on what you're trying to get across to the student. We will go to Super Dixon. Super Dixon, could you tell us yourself what is your definition of a class? We're talking about Kizomba, so a Kizomba lesson, and what would you be wanting to get across to a student that came to your class?
Good evening, everyone. Well, in a certain way, Andrea gave a good explanation of obviously of what we kind of all agree in a certain terminology in what she said. For me, my first priority, and this is something that it's like if I'm going to teach someone, it's very important also depending on the level that this person would be, but my main goal in a class that someone will attend is to teach them, give them the tools to feel Kizomba, to connect, to listen to the music, to listen to the beat. And my focus no longer is the steps like it used to be before. I focus on syllabus. So again, feeling, connection, musicality, um, the beat, like I said, and obviously, um, I have a very strong passion, and I teach. That's why I changed my. I have my own methodology, but I have changed my methodology to make sure that the music is the focus. Because obviously I cannot teach other people how to feel, but I can kind of teach them how the music works, if it makes sense. And obviously, because I come from Palop culture, I just don't focus on the Angolan spectrum of the Kizomba. I focus on the whole music spectrum from the other Palop countries, different country, different dance, and that's pretty much my goal. And obviously, I also include Zouk and Kompa as extras as part of the Kizomba umbrella. This, let's say. So my focus is this, not necessarily steps, because I did that before, and I personally think that steps, that's without disrespecting the other genres, steps and figures is something you learn in salsa and bachata. Kizomba doesn't work the same way, so I don't think that's my. It's no longer my way. Let's say it like this. Yeah.
Okay, that was really good, Dixon. Thank you very much for that. And something I'm taking from both our host, Andrea and Super Dixon, is this beautiful word, connection. So you guys are already thinking of connection. So even if it's a new student, you want to get that across. Very important. It's a good thing I'm seeing here. Also, some positive progression in the sense of, oh, we're not going to count to 1, 2, 3. We're going to actually concentrate and focus. A word Super Dixon used, focus on the musicality and actually. Dixon, you mentioned syllabus. Just before we go to our panel, you mentioned syllabus. Would the syllabus not contain steps? Can you just
Yes. Yes.
advise us on
But
this? Even though you said you're coming away from that, which I've been in a
like I
number of
said,
discussions with other
like I said,
teachers, and they've said it. So yeah, tell
the
us.
reason why I'm saying it the way I'm saying it is because obviously when I came to the UK, I have to express I've been dancing all my life. I didn't teach, right? So I came to the UK and I started to learn, how to teach, right? So I was hearing some syllabus, I was hearing some steps. Do you know what I mean? But it doesn't match. It didn't match what we know. What we know or what it is. If it makes sense. So we're learning steps, and I'm like, okay, I'm getting that information. But when I started to learn salsa and even bachata, because I've learned from either Cuban or Dominican, the thing is, I've noticed in salsa, for example, when they call a number of steps, for example, in rueda, everybody knew the step, and that's how I actually learned how to dance the salsa, because I didn't understand what moves are this, when do I do this moves, when this happens or when that happens. So I learned those syllabus, and I thought this is how Kizomba should work. I mean, in hip hop, that's how it works. Let's say in certain classes. So I decided to transport that to my Kizomba in a sense of I know the names of the tricks, of the names of the moves, how you do the combinations, how you do your tricks or whatever you call it. It's a mashup of basic steps. It's a mashup of the name of the moves. So for me, I will teach and break down those moves. When I'm teaching in class, I don't call the move. I call the segment of the syllabus. If a student comes to your class, it doesn't know the syllabus, I still will teach it. But one thing is for sure, if you come to the class thinking you can do a move and you say you dance Kizomba and you don't know what the Saida is, and you are an improver or a higher level class, I'm saying to you, okay, let's teach you again. Because
That's brilliant.
if you're learning steps, for me, that's not learning steps is not dancing. I said what I say.
Okay, thank you for that, Dixon. That's really informative. Now, we want to bring the panel in. We've got some experienced dancers here. So obviously, Kizomba lessons. So we got teachers here that are teaching. I just want to bring the panel in. They've been waiting eagerly. I'm going to reverse it slightly. So, Petronia, if you're going to a lesson, what are you expecting to gain from the lesson itself? It's obvious it's a lesson to learn the dance, but if you look a bit deeper into it, what are you hoping to take from the class, apart from, let's say, learning a routine, which we kind of say nowadays it's not the way, but for argument's sake, what you trying to get from this class?
I think I'm going to just go back a little bit to when and give an account of when I first started, as I would have started with salsa, for example. Salsa is about the steps, and then you'll get to learn some of the moves and the names of the moves. Now, Kizomba, as I was taught, I loved the music, but I didn't know the names of the steps. So it was, from a confidence level, I had to learn, go by numbers and learn the actual moves in terms of the beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, and go in and out. It wasn't until I had that knowledge that I was able to then learn and feel the connection of the moves and know the names of the moves and how it connected. For me, that took some time, but because I was having to pull back from just listening to the music and feeling the music and learn where I'm coming from. That's how it was for me as a beginner. Now, when I go to, years later, when I go to a class, I then feel that music and feel the connection, and that's going to be dependent upon the teacher as they impart that particular lesson. Then now it's about the feel. For me, I got the feel, but I wasn't confident to have that feel until later on. I had to learn the basics. That's how I felt. So now when I go to a lesson, I'm wanting to connect with the music, and it is very much about musicality. But that, because I feel a bit more experienced doing that, if that makes sense, I can feel that more.
That's quite interesting. So at first you were more looking at just trying to grab and clasp, but kind of learning, and a connection feeling part of it came as you became more experienced.
Yeah, I had to grasp that. I felt the difference from salsa, which I'd been doing for many years before Kizomba. So it felt like a completely different genre, which it is, and a different form of movement. And that for me as a dancer, took me a while to get there. It may not have been the same for everybody, but that's how it was for me. And then once I felt confident, then I was able to, even though I felt the music and I felt the musicality, I had to then connect it with the moves and the dance and the steps to then go from beginners to improvers and maybe to a more intermediate level. So the fun for me of being confident came, I'd say, a good year, 2 years in. That may not be the case for anybody else.
I think that's very interesting, and it kind of leads me back to when Dixon said steps. We're trying to move away from it, and he's very right in what he said. Spoken to a number of teachers of different levels. I myself have done some basic teaching a few years ago. Not calling myself a teacher, but one thing I did want to concentrate and focus on was more the musicality, more feeling the music, hearing the music. And it's something, without being an experienced teacher, I was concentrating on. But yet we have someone as a beginner, they feel like yourself, Petroni, when you was a beginner, they need to grasp the kind of mechanics of it, the steps. So Sonia, would you say the same when we could split it, beginning, learning, starting to learn, to now when you go lessons and you are more concentrating on feeling?
I'm not sure that I feel quite the same as Petronia, because I think I took to it quite naturally. All them years ago, I think I got moved up to improvers after only 2 lessons. And I do remember now, thinking back, that the thing that I struggled with is not so much learning the names of the moves, but to when to do the shuffle. That took a while to get used to. And it was only by social dancing that it became natural. You just do it when the man shuffles to his left, you go to your right. And I still do lessons now, almost 12 years, more than 12 years later. Because I still like to make connections, especially if I'm in a new class or I go to a festival. I make connections to know who I'm going to dance with later, or whether they make a connection with me to dance with me later on. And I still like to learn tips, not so much tips and tricks, but there's always new things that you can learn, even if you're an experienced dancer. So I attend lessons now, even though I am an experienced dancer.
Yeah, thank you for that, Sonia. It's an interesting insight. We're going to quickly move to Winston because he's been waiting. Winston, obviously, someone that's alongside myself about 12 years. He's now a performer, guys. Let's not forget that he's a performer, Winston. So he's looking at it from an additional view here. So as a beginner, he started as a more experienced lesson goer. Winston does lessons more than a lot of others, despite his experience. And of course, now he's performing. So, Winston, what's your take on it?
I think I agree with Petronia in many aspects of what she said, because when I first started, I had two left feet when I came into salsa, and I think I still had two left feet when I come into Kizomba. So for me, when I first started, my journey was learning steps initially, the basics, and getting that right. And then as things progressed, and I mean, I must admit, I didn't move up quickly from beginners to improve. I was there for a long, long, long time. So then it went from doing the steps to musicality, and then obviously learning how to lead effectively, and then learning more about, as I became intermediate advanced, it's more about technique for me, and also footwork, and incorporating footwork while you're leading your partner. So I think as you progress through your journey, what you're always learning something. And I think for different people, if you've come from different dances, salsa, bachata, you might have a different aspect to somebody that is a complete novice to Kizomba. So your journey will be slightly different. Having said that, people that come into bachata, from bachata, I find they really, although they've done a dance, they haven't really benefited transferring to Kizomba, because they've got this sort of modern bachata craziness going on, and you've got to take it out of them. But for me, going to classes now, it's mainly technique is what I want, and looking at more complex patterns and how to lead that with somebody that is not from the class, somebody that's going to be in the social. And that's what I look for when I go to classes now.
I think you're muted, Gario. You want to say
Mario, you're
something?
muted.
Yeah, a mixed bag of answers there. Thank you, guys. And what I would say is it's a good panel balance. So we've got the hosts that are both teachers, and they're coming from a direction not too dissimilar. They're looking at, let's focus on something a bit different. And our panel one says she just had to grasp those steps, which most of us are looking to come away from. And two of the other panelists, they're saying, well, look, it wasn't like that for me. So it's a real good balanced view. Andrea, again, just to finish off on this particular question, um, speaking to other people, do you believe there's a shift towards a different way of teaching in a class, in a lesson?
To be very mindful what I say. No, everybody, all teachers, all instructors, all have a different way of getting their message across. And I would say to students, find the teacher, the instructor that you gel with, because there's some teachers I've been to, and because I had to learn to dance at the beginning, and there was some that I couldn't get them. I had no, well, my main bugbear when I started was that we were told as women we just had to follow, and I thought, no, I'm paying the same male, the leaders are paying. I deserve to have a lesson, the same input. But a lot of the male teachers couldn't teach the followers steps. But that's hi Anna. So that's a by the by. But I think we all have our own way of teaching and what we want to express to the students. But it's important, I feel, as a teacher, that I meet my students where they are. I've been to lessons where the teacher has their routine in their head and they're going to get through it and they don't really worry about the students in the class. They just have to get through it as best they can. People will then leave the lesson. But I look at who's in my lesson, where are they? Do I need to change my routine slightly so that they can be able to dance well at the end of the night or dance with confidence? That's what I think I want to do or try and sort of say to people is to dance with confidence, to feel confident on the floor. Because for leaders, it's not easy. They've got to think about the music. They've got to think about leading their partner, like Foxy was saying, their footwork. They're leading the dance. It's a lot to take on board. And I know that sometimes lessons, I can see the men going, okay, that's it. I've had enough tonight. I can't take in any more steps tonight. You're laughing, Foxy. You know exactly what I mean. It is really difficult if you've got to try and concentrate on what the teacher's saying, what your partner's reacting to. Until it's not easy for the leaders, but again, it's also not easy for the followers to follow the leader if they're not leading well. And I think that's one of the most important things I think that we can impart as teachers is showing the followers how to follow, to be a mirror of their partner, but also the leaders how to lead with confidence, because it's a huge ask of them to get through 3 minutes of a song. I think, but yeah, hopefully people will tell us tonight what they feel about the lessons that they attend, because it's all well and good me standing at the front of the class giving my instructions if people are going, I don't really get what you're saying. So feedback to us, let us know what you think.
Yeah, thank you, Andrea. So as Andrea said, please guys, give us your comments, give us your views. Anna, Francesca, all the guys, please join the chat. Please comment. Please give us what you believe are your concerns and everything else. So that's good. We're going to move on quickly. My next question, and I'll start with Super Dixon. So from the Kizomba curriculum and coming from a Palop background, what are the important parts of a Kizomba lessons? What should you be taught? And I want you to concentrate to maybe 2 or 3 important factors in teaching from the curriculum. So come on, tell us. Is it steps? You already said maybe not steps. Can you advise from a palette like for you?
So one of the reasons I was in the beginning I was make sure that people understand that when we talk, obviously I know this is the Kizomba show. I know that the word is the Kizomba is on the tin, like people say, but I come from a background where nobody dances Kizomba. This is the truth. Everybody dances pasada. The Angolans may be dancing something, but that's not Kizomba. But I don't want to confuse people. I just think is people need to learn pasada. Pasada is the only dance that is in common with all the Palop countries. So if the people don't want to learn the basics, they're not actually they're going to a Kizomba class improvers. They're not learning how to dance Kizomba because pasada is a very important part of the dance, if not the main dish of the dance. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, when you start learning samba, you start to get creative, and that's when the magic happens. Like I like to say, that's when you finally have mastered the basics of the dance, pasada basics, which doesn't have any dissociation, is all connection. and it's all applied to the music. So we're talking about what everybody calls basic slow, basic side step, basic travel, or just merengue, the quick, you know, dancing merengue is part of the dance also. Do you know what I mean? And obviously the rotation. You add the rotation and you can do everything to the right, to the left, as long as you know when to stop when the beat stops. And this is something that, for example, I focus on this in any level, because I don't have expectations like I used to. When I started to teach, I thought this is supposed to, people are supposed to know this. But as I started to teach, as I started to go to festivals, and I started to travel more, and I started to realize nobody knows this. And it's a bit shocking. You know, it was a bit shocking, but now I know better. So I think without pasada steps, you know, and again, pasada steps are steps, but is the tools that you need to dance Kizomba. I also don't understand why, obviously, again, when we talk about Kizomba, is way more complex because it's all it's the Semba steps that come into play with the Pasada steps. A lot of people are confused maybe what I'm saying, but I mean I know that Andrea is giving me smirks, so she knows exactly what I'm saying when it comes to the difference between both is very big. And I don't know if the panel even knows what Pasada is. I'm curious. I apologize if I don't have my camera today. My laptop is doesn't let me show my face, so I want to apologize. No, because I'm using my hands like I always do. But I would like to know about that. If the panel knows about the pasada part of dance, I'm sure if they're dancing for 12 years, they definitely heard about it for sure. But I think that it's something that I don't see many teachers explaining this or talking about this, you know, and I think it's pretty much the most important part of the dance is pasada, and that's my focus in my classes. And then when the student goes to a higher level, you know, is all the let's say tricks, combinations. I very specify some of them. It's semba, as simple as, you know, and that's pretty much what kizomba is today. Pasada plus semba, slow down or fast pace. That's my
Thank
two
you.
cents for now.
Thank you, Andrea. We're not gonna put a gap in this. Straight to you. What's your view? What are the important parts coming from your side, from the curriculum, that you need to teach, or you believe you need to teach your students that come into your class?
I think I agree with Dixon that yeah, they need to know Pasada. They need to connect to the music. Now, when I started, I listened to the music day in, day out, listening to because it was a different type of music that was listening to. Because I come from started with salsa, but I think it's about sort of saying to people this is different, a different type of way of listening to music and a different way of dancing to bachata or salsa. Be in the moment with the music. You know, don't it's about connecting to the music. Listen to the music. I think that's the thing that I say the most. Listen to the music. The music is the guide. The music will guide you. The music will tell you the story, will tell you the highs and the lows of the dance. But people watch YouTube and various other things and want to do the tricks on the first day. And just sort of calm down. It's like learning to drive. If you don't if you don't learn how to drive on the back roads, you're not going to be able to drive on the motorway. You've got to learn.
Well, we're going to reverse it. We're going to go to Winston straight away and ask you, Winston, when you attend a class, what do you get from the teacher? Do you differentiate what is important to them? What are they what are the important things they seem to be pushing in your direction? Are they pushing musicality? You need to be on point with this. Do you get a sense of what they're pushing to the class, to
Yeah.
you as a student?
I mean, you have to understand every teacher has got a different aspect, and that's why it's important when you're learning is that my preference is I learn and I stay with a certain teacher for a while, and I learn as much as I can from that person before I move on to another teacher. So where I've got to now, the teachers that I have now obviously are teaching at a quite high level, and it is more about technique and it is more about musicality. So that's what I get from it. It's the more complex structures that they're putting together and how to lead those structures. So that's what I get out of it. And obviously we got to remember we're here to have fun. So it must be relaxed, it must be enjoyable, we must have a laugh. You know, we're not coming from school work into an environment which is just sort of, you know, rigid. We're here to have fun. It's a social gathering. So that's what I look to have. We have to have a light-hearted banter as well. But yes, for me, you know, when I was coming up, there were teachers that did, you know, discuss Posada and made us do that before doing anything. Just to walk around and do different turning and whatever, just to walk without doing anything else. But that does not happen very often, admittedly. But then as you're learning the dance, that's something you pick up because obviously you're on the dance floor, and sometimes to avoid clashing into somebody, you've got to be able to incorporate the moves, the Posada, Saida, Estrella, whatever, just to get around from different people, vehiclers, you know, you could do things just so that you don't encroach on somebody else. So you learn that on the dance floor. You know, you hear people talk about it, you might do it in the class, but you learn that when you're dancing. It is fundamental to Kizomba Semba. So that's what I get from it.
Brilliant, Winston, as always. Let's go to Sonia. Sonia, when you've attended a class, and it's quite interesting because you can have both extremes. You can have someone like Jerickson, who's a high energy, high vibes, and someone that's more calm. I won't mention any names, but someone that is a little calmer. What do you detect they are trying to impart on you? What are the key factors? You know, it could be steps, musicality, um, even posture. Even something as simple as posture could be very important. And I believe it is. I was told about this many years ago, and it changed a lot of things for me. So, in the classes you've been to over the
Mm.
years, what did you detect or feel or sense that the teacher's trying to get across to you? Most importantly.
Well, obviously, different instructors have different aspects that they want to impart. I personally look for, although I said earlier about tips and connection, but musicality is quite important too, as well as technique. I can't say that if I've ever had a lesson that I haven't enjoyed. Mostly the instructors have been experienced instructors and strive to make the lesson enjoyable, but and informative as well as imparting musicality and technique. Yeah, not really got much more to say on that.
Okay, I mean, we got a feel for what you're thinking. And just before we go to Petronia, we have some comments coming in. Anna Christina, she says they need to learn, first of all, musicality. And she's added, people need to feel the music, the beat, otherwise they will never be able to lead or even follow. Interesting comments there from our regular Anna. Yes, I mean, it's musicality is very important. And you know, you could be in a dance event and you see someone that is on time, is on that beat, and they look the part. They look the part, maybe not doing many steps, maybe just basic, but having that feeling. Okay, guys, having that feeling of the music, very important, and you can look good. Okay, Petronia, over to you.
Yes, just going back to what you were saying, yes, I agree with the feeling and the sense of that. But in terms of what you want from a teacher and why you go to different lessons, I go to certain teachers and I'm drawn by the personality of certain teachers and how they impart their lessons. Some teachers can be quite strict and they've got a format, albeit, yes, they are trying to get across their a structure and musicality and get you to feel that. But I'm also drawn to certain teachers where I feel their personality, that they're trying to impart that to their class. And that's a vibe I will catch from a teacher. Which is maybe not important to a lot of people. I'm drawn to how some teachers will impart their classes. They'll impart technique, they'll impart some sort of structure and form and the musicality. You mentioned Jay Dixon, for example, who has a very high energy personality, and lots of people are drawn to that, as I am. And then there are others who are not about being calm, but about a sort of winning personality. I have to use that more often. And there are some who I learn from, and I may not go back as often because I don't get a sense of the warmth of that teacher. Maybe that's not important to everybody, but that is important to me on some level, especially if you are doing something quite basic or continuous like a passada. How will you impart that? As Winston said, there is banter when you're interacting with the rest of your class and the teachers. But a personality of a teacher will draw me to a class. And that's how I get the feels sometimes. Not all the time, but that's important to me.
Okay, so I'll throw it out there to all of you. It's probably more to the panel themselves. When you are in a lesson scenario, what if we could just go for one or two things? Do you notice they're really on about something? I remember going to Costa lesson 12 years ago, and he was banging on about one particular thing all night for weeks and weeks and weeks. And, until you did it and learned it and were able to do it, and that's everyone in the class, he didn't move on. Do you, even nowadays, today, are you getting anything from the teachers like, oh, you have to do this right, this shuffle step, this way of moving your foot? Is there anything, Winston, quickly, is there anything that you can say they're banging on about which is important?
Again, it's hard to say yes or no, because it depends on the student and it depends on the teacher what they're coming across. Obviously, they're looking across the whole class and trying to see that and ensure that everybody is understanding what's going on and can do the move. So they will home in on what needs to happen. And sometimes, you've only got an hour, normally speaking. You may not get every single thing. And the good teachers will always say to you, look, you don't have to get the whole routine. As long as you can take away a segment, a part, and you're able to put that on the dance floor, then your repertoire is going to gradually build up as you go along. So to me, if I'm doing something wrong, or there might be something slightly that I'm not getting, and I might ask a question, and it might be me, just the way I'm sort of interpreting how I'm meant to implement that. But I'll take a video at the end of the session. And then when I go home, I can replay that video and look what was being done, what was I not doing in the right way, and I'll just dance on my own and try and practice and get that step. So that's what I tend to do. I try and grasp as much as I possibly can from the lesson, and generally speaking, I'm okay, I can get it. But no matter what I do, every single lesson I do, I will video, and I have that, I have them all stored on my phone or my laptop, and I can go back and look and see if there's anything that I need to do, or just to refresh my memory how to implement that on the floor and so on. So that's how I see it.
Winston, I'm going to put you on a spot quickly. Mr. Rico Suave, you're in a class. Give me one thing that he says you must be able to do, Winston Fox, if you are to progress. Is there something? Give us something.
Well, you have to be confident in your lead, right? The follower must feel your lead, your intention. What is your intention? What is your signal? So that is what you have to impart to your follower to make them understand. And it doesn't have to be heavy-handed and, literally having to lift the person to, no, you have the gentle movement, the arm, the fingers. You can do so many things, your legs, yeah, to make that person understand you're trying to get them to do something, so that you're not heavy-handed. You can do things very gently by giving the correct signal. So that's, to me, is what it is making sure you are confident in your lead when you're dancing.
Okay, Winston, that's brilliant. So that's one of the things. It could be confident in your lead, which everything comes after that. Everything else comes after that. Got to be confident. Pretend to know what you're doing. Leading your partner's waiting to be led. So it's one of the things the teachers will bang on about. I'm gonna cause a bit of trouble here, guys. I'm gonna go to the panel. What do you dislike about the teacher's delivery in a Kizomba lesson? And we want to be positives. How can it be improved? So, Sonia, you go to a class, Super Dixon's teaching, you're thinking, I don't know, there's, is there anything that you've come across in all your years of dance that you think, I'm not sure I like that in the delivery? I'm not sure. And how would you improve it, Sonia? Can you give us an example?
First of all, can I just say that I'm full of admiration for people like Winston and other dancers who take the dancing seriously to the point where they'll video the class and go home and practice. I know people that go home and practice with a broom, for example, because they want to improve their dancing that much. So hats off to you. Back to the question, what have I disliked in the past about?
So, the delivery of a teacher, he's delivering a class, and is there something you pick out and you think, I don't like the way he's delivering this, or she's delivering it, or putting it across to me, and it kind of throws you in a lesson? It kind of like, is there anything that you've come across? And how can we improve it?
No, I don't know. If I'm totally honest, my one bugbear is being told to move my bunda. Because I feel that if I walk naturally, if I move naturally, that bunda is going to move with me. I don't need to accentuate it. That's not my style of dancing. So I do get slightly irritated by instructors who try to get you to accentuate that move. Sorry, guys. My bunda moves on its own.
Okay, so you've actually been told by a teacher to move that bunda.
I'm afraid so. Yeah.
Wow,
and that will put me off. That would put me off, because I don't see the necessity to exaggerate the move. Yeah, because it will move naturally.
Interesting. We're going to come to our host on that in just a moment. Petronia, what about yourself? If you come across in a class, your teachers, trying to get something across, and you didn't like the way they delivered it, and it kind of.
Yeah. Yes, I can agree on that point with Sonia. That did make me laugh. I didn't even think about that until she said that, because yes, that is drummed into us sometimes to too much of an extent. Because yes, your bunda will move naturally if you're feeling the move, if you're feeling what they're trying to impart. But on the other hand, I've come across some teachers who I might now say, yeah, sure, they were okay to do that. But my one bugbear is if they're trying to rush a move, and it will be like not paying enough attention to all the followers keeping up with the other followers and therefore keeping up with the lead. Sometimes you can feel a bit too rushed. And one or two teachers, I won't name who they are, I don't know if that's what's allowed here. I want to be respectful. That's come across too much regularly. I, as a follower, for example, I'll go round and round in the class, and it'll usually be in a circle, and we'll come to the next male follower. It's usually male, and it's usually male leader, and the fear of God has been put into that person because they haven't been able to get across to their follower what they need to do, and it's all quite rushed because they want to get a certain format. That's happened, I think, too often for some of the leaders to be comfortable, and therefore they're not able to impart to their follower what needs to be taught, and therefore it becomes quite frustrating. And it's difficult to get that across respectfully to a teacher that you're not quite there yet. You haven't quite got that. How can we do that? Because they're teachers, and they might be quite harsh, they might be quite strict, or we perceive that they're harsh and strict. And how can we then get that across to that teacher so that we feel comfortable having learnt what that person's trying to impart? I don't know if anyone
Winston,
else is doing that.
Quickly to Mr. Fox. We've got a few minutes before our first song, so Mr. Fox.
For me, Rico and Manon are my teachers, high level, and don't have anything to say that they need to add. They're excellent teachers. Also, Rikita, I tend to do her lessons a lot, and demo in the class with her. Nothing there that I would say needs to be done. However, some of the other teachers that I've had in the past, one of my bugbears was that they will go through the routine, and rather than break it down into segments, they'll show you like half the routine before you've matched up with the partner and before the music's played. And then you were expected to remember what was done all these, earlier on in the routine. And then you matched up and you're like, what? We haven't even done the first bit yet to music. And so to me, I found that quite frustrating. Yeah. Sometimes they would go through the whole routine and then say, right, now partner up. It's like, what? I'm meant to remember all of that and I've not even practiced it. So to me, that is what infuriates me. So I like it broken down into manageable segments, shown how to do it, match up with your partner, do the step, music played, repeat it, and then move on to the next bit. So it's broken down into manageable segments. That's the way I prefer to learn myself.
Okay, thank you, Foxy. We have a comment here from Anna Christina. Said teachers need to engage the students. Very good point, Anna. Engagement, we're going to come to that. Dancing is all about happiness, good vibes, energy, and if it's too serious, it gets boring. You make a good point there, Anna. Thank you for that. Janet Harris says, well said. I don't know what you're referring to, Janet. I'm thinking it's the Bunda comment from Sonia. So that's Janet Harris. Hello, Janet. Well done. And she's saying, some are not teachers, they are dancers. Interesting. We might come to that from our host. And teachers should at some point ask for feedback on their classes so they can improve. So that's Janet saying that. Probably as a teacher, Andrea Super Dixon, feedback form maybe, or ask for feedback. Anyway, we will come back to this after our song, which is going to be played by Andrea. So guys, we'll be back in just a moment's time. Welcome back to Let's Talk Kizomba, and we'll go straight back to our hosts. Andrea, what is your response to our panel and their concerns and some of their dislikes about the lessons they attend?
I agree with the Bunda comment. And I think they're absolutely valid comments that, and I understand if you don't feel confident to address it with the teacher in the lesson. Most teachers are human, instructors are human, and they'll listen if you have a chat later on. I would hope that I'm able to, because we have to focus on everybody in the class, not just one or two people. So we have to make sure that everybody is getting the routine. It's not always an easy task to do that. Because sometimes you need to focus on the leads to show them how to lead, especially if they've come up from a class or come from a different area or a different teacher who maybe doesn't teach the lead the same way as you do. And so you may have to encourage them to lead with confidence and to sort of habit. And I get the idea. The lessons are meant to be fun. They're meant to be enjoyable. We're not, doing an exam at the end of it. I'm not concerned about placement. And I'll say to people, I get round in a Virgula maybe further than you do because I've been doing it for years. So long as you rotate a bit, that's absolutely fine. So it's for me, it's with the students is being at their level, but trying to push them to go that little bit further, because it's great to stay in your comfort zone and not try anything. But like Foxy said, I always say to my students, even if you only get one or two moves out of the lesson, that's enough. Do those one or two moves with confidence, and the rest will start to fall into place. But it is very difficult to pitch a lesson sometimes at the right level for people, where there's not too much for people to take in, or people need more, because some people can take a lot, some people can't. I used to feel as a dancer, when I was learning to dance, that it was the followers who got left behind, because the male teachers would concentrate on the leads and forget that actually I need to learn how to follow the lead, not overtake the lead, not back lead, but I need to be able to know the response to that lead. And if someone doesn't teach me it, I'm not going to know it. So I wish students were more vocal, because we'll often say to them, has anyone got any questions? And they'll go, no questions. And then after the class, they come up and say, during the class, when you did this, why didn't you ask in the class? That's when you ask the questions, because that's when I can address it with you. And if you've got that question, probably about 10 other people in the class have got exactly the same question. So yeah, it's Janet's saying that we should ask for feedback. Teachers should. When we do ask for feedback, we ask all the time. Is there anything that you want me to go over again? But if students don't vocalise that to us, we don't know. We just, assume they've
You just hear
understood
crickets.
it. Yeah, we hear crickets.
Do you have any questions?
And there's no reply, so we can only assume that everyone's got it. But if somebody says, actually, I didn't get that step that you were teaching, or I didn't understand how I was meant to respond to that step, I can go over it again with you in the class. And like I say, there'll be several people in the class who probably didn't get it, who maybe don't have the confidence to ask in a group setting, because it is quite intimidating to say, I don't get something in front of everybody else, because you assume everybody else is better than you. Not everybody's better than anybody. You're in a class to learn. Ask us. That's what we're there for.
Gario,
Dick,
unmute yourself. Unmute yourself again. I could do a comedy show on this, man.
Can it work the other way, Andrea, where you as a teacher, you're thinking, oh, this one's always asking questions, or the rest of the class, they're saying we want to get on with this. So just something to think about before we go to Dixon, that, it can work the other way, where the class doesn't really flow because someone, keeps asking. We'll come back to that. Dixon, what do you think?
Right. Oh my God. It's been a while. Hey. So, trying to pick up all the comments, everything that people said. I mean, the panel, focusing on the panel and Andrea, obviously. So there's a few things that I must say that a lot of people, the expectation of a teacher, and I'm saying this from a Palop perspective, okay, is that when I started to teach in the UK, I came with that African, I was teaching in Plymouth University to the Latin Society, and you come with that serious. I'm here to teach you. It's like African mindset. I'm here to teach you. I'm not here to be your friend. And soon I understood when I started to teach the people outside that it's like, oh, these people are like uni students. They're here to have fun. It took me a while because again, I do joke. I used to do jokes. I always, you know me. I'm always joking. But when I'm teaching, there's moments where I'm very focused. Or even when you're saying that something is wrong, in order to help the student to improve. I also had to learn as a teacher that no, you cannot correct the student. But in university, I was doing that, and because I have a diversity type of students from abroad, they took the criticism. In fact, if you teach in Portugal or in South Europe, if you don't correct them, they're gonna be mad. Do you know what I mean? But again, the reality in the UK was different, so I had to adapt to that. So when I say, do you have any questions? There's a little minutes that I have, and every time I ask this, where I know that there's a few minutes where they can make the questions. So I don't care if the student would make those questions over and over. I have the answers, I have the answers, so I'm here to give the answers. I think I've been in a situation where, again, I'm not going to say names, where the student made them a question. I was assisting, I was just watching the class. The student didn't have the answer, so he pointed at me. And I looked at the person, and I was like, oh, you want me to answer? Okay, I gave the answer because I knew the answer. But this is a different, obviously, side topic where the teachers should have the answers. But like Andrea said, the amount of times that we ask the question, especially when you start teaching to not uni students, in this case to adults, and they have questions, but nobody's making the question. But the beauty of the question is, and I always try to say, when you make a question, it might be someone else's doubt. So that actually helps the teacher to deliver something that everybody is, and at some point people think that some dance teachers are stupid. Like we can see everybody is like, okay. So clearly there's something that I need to teach or I need to repeat, because it's not working. And again, teaching methodology, we all have different methods, right? But most of us kind of know that. I mean, I can teach a Saida one way, you know, and I have my own student that doesn't understand it. He goes to Andrea class, and Andrea may repeat the same thing I did, but she might say something different. The person understand, like, oh, I learned this move from Andrea, you know, you never managed to taught me. I was like, but I always say that. No, you don't. And all the other students would say, yes, he does. But you know, again, it's what Pescioni also said. Not always the information or how the teacher is coming across may not, you know, may not come. You might receive it. You might maybe having a bad day, or I don't know. But the expectance of a teacher in the UK, it's fun, fun, fun. It's let's go have some fun. And sometimes when you're teaching fun, the class was super fun. Did you actually learn something? You know, and that's obviously another topic for another time, maybe, or to further in. But again, I think the methodology. For example, I didn't explain earlier, and I want to be quick about it. When I teach whatever I'm teaching, like to the ladies or to the gents, I used to do this in my classes in Plymouth and now in Bournemouth. I do this in every workshop I go these days. Before I start the class, I start about the frame, male frame, female frame, because apparently the guys that come from salsa are literally destroying the ladies' back. I teach the ladies to speak up. And another thing I'm going to say, on contrary to Andrea, do you know what is my focus in my classes? Like pretty much when I started to teach by myself, not with a dance partner. My first focus is I change the focus. I focus my classes on the lady. And I not always have a dance partner because I know how to follow and I know how the lady should be led. Makes sense? And Foxy spoke about this as well in a certain way. And I think ladies, one of the things for the ladies is like, and I think this comes from my social dance, not from my dance teaching skill. I know for a fact that we have to train with our cousins or with our aunties how to hold them and how to treat the woman, you know, because if we do that in the club and the woman kicks off at us, which they will in our culture, it's a vex, it's a public vex, which in the dance scene, social dance scene, the ladies, the guy can be crushing your back. He might be trying you, Sonia, to move your bunda, and you don't want to move your bunda. He's not getting the hint. Your face is giving the hint, but if you don't say nothing, you know, he won't. Well, the guys won't, and this is the biggest problem as well. There needs to be an education on who's leading and who's actual following. You know, everybody here assumes that the leader is the man and the female is the follower, is the leader, is the lady, right? In an actual Kizomba dance, every man knows that we are kind of leading some way, but if the lady wants to take over, we become the follower easy. I don't know if you know about this, but who knows. But just to finish quickly before I lose track of everything, Sonia, you are totally right. You only move your bunda if you want to. But I must say one thing, as a Kizomba instructor from the culture, bunda is everything. So we always have to mention the bunda just for the fact of, ladies, if you want to move your bunda, please move your bunda. Don't be shy. If you don't want to move your bunda, don't move your bunda. It's okay. Make sense? So just to let you know, in Kizomba, bunda is God, yeah?
Okay, Dixon.
Yes,
So
now,
what we got there, guys? What we got there, Dixon. Guys, it's all about the bunda. It's very important in the culture. So
bunda and jinga.
Can I just say my only objection is to being made to exaggerate the bunda, you know?
You should not. If you do
Yeah.
not feel it, you should not.
Yeah.
We should teach you how your feet move with the marca, you know, and you swivel your way and you swivel the way you want. And that's why one of the things I keep saying, this is not bachata. Don't make the lady do those crazy waves. If you do that to a very instructed lady, you know, like you ladies in the panel in Andrea, you know, you do the face. You have to do the face. And you have to tell, yo, young man, calm down. Because this is the things, this is another things of the dance. On the hand on the lady's back, you know what I mean, or the terrachinha thing that I don't know why that I never understood that, to be honest, but I can't do the gesture, the wanking gesture, let's say, that they're doing for you to move your bunda. And it's like, we all keep making fun of that, because when we see a guy doing that, especially a teacher, we like look at that. It's like, look at that guy. He doesn't know what he's doing. And we're thinking that lady is dancing with him. Away.
Well,
The washboard.
as I would say, guys, as I'd say, bunda is important. And as Anna said, I love to move my bunda just to improve my jinga. So, guys,
Yes.
it's very important. Janet also made a comment. An anonymous form can be used, guys, for feedback. I don't know if that would work for someone like Andrea. You know, an anonymous form afterwards might do. But I want to quickly move on now to the next question. And I'll go to Winston with this, or maybe I shouldn't. You know, maybe Petronia.
Whoa.
What are your concerns with the male lead in the class, in the lesson? So Petronia, Sonia, you're in the lesson. You got someone like Winston in the lesson, although we know Winston is a very good dancer. What are your concerns within the class scenario with the male leads? Petronia, I'll start with you.
One problem could be that the lead in the class isn't possibly in the correct level of the class, and therefore him, usually a him, obviously trying to impart what he's being taught by the teacher to you as the follower is incorrect. Yeah, I'll use that word incorrect because it's difficult as a follower for me to not get frustrated by that leader who is sort of not sometimes prepared to take instruction. You know, Winston is not an example of that. Winston takes instruction and he'll go away and he'll take videos and he will practice. But I've been in many a class where some of the leaders who were being instructed by those teachers either they can't take on board the instruction or they won't. And then, of course, it's difficult for you as a follower to then follow because you may know more or feel that you know more than that leader. And you have to allow that leader who's learning, like everybody else, to sort of impart what they're trying to lead to you. But if they are not either getting it or feel that they're above it or are in the wrong level of class, it causes problems. And I wonder if sometimes the teachers can see that and they find it not difficult. Is there a way for them to be able to impart to that leader that they may be in the wrong level? That's one thing that I find can be frustrating. I talk to my girls and we'll say that quite often, but it's probably not for us to impart that to that leader unless they're a mate and they'll take it nicely. That's one thing.
Sonia.
Yeah, I think one of my frustrations is when the correct hold and the correct posture is not taught initially. But if they're in an improvers or intermediate class, they should know that already. And things like, being thigh to thigh so that you can feel the move, not being held too far away so that, again, you can follow the lead. So I'm doing hand gestures here. I know that a lot of instructors like to teach leaders the correct hand movement so that you can know whether you're to go forward or you're to turn. And quite often they are taught that in the lesson. They may not follow it. And then what I've found from experience is that as a follower, the leaders don't like being told, oh, no, I don't think she was or he was saying to do that. So it's very difficult sometimes, not that we're instructors, but to try and instruct your leader what's being instructed in the class. That's the only frustration that I've come across. Because if they listen to the tips, if they listen to the leads, they will be able to lead properly. But quite often, it's either they're ignoring it, or it's gone over their head, or they've forgotten.
Sonia, do you believe this tends to happen in an improver's level? What's your view on that?
It probably does, but then they shouldn't be moving up unless they've mastered those key skills. So when they come to intermediate, which Petrona, myself, obviously, and Winston are in those intermediate classes, those are skills that they should already know before they're in that class. So sometimes that's quite frustrating that people will move up when they're not quite ready to.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting subject in its own right. The leveling up. I know Andrea, we're going to come to that. Andrea has a lot to say on that. I just feel that who is the guide on this? Because back in the day, we know we had the Kizomba royal family, we had the Kizomba police, and they used to manage a lot, make sure levels were high and make sure everyone's doing the right thing. So it could be that, it's not there anymore. So people are kind of escaping in the net and trying to go up to another level. We got a comment from Kathleen here. Evening, Kathleen. She said some men who are not so confident like to tell you you're making mistakes as a follower. Yeah. So with that, it's another issue we have on the social side. You're dancing, and even in sometimes in lesson, the lead is saying you're making mistakes when they're probably not doing the right thing themselves. I mean, we'll go to Andrea. Winston, we'll come to you, but Andrea, in any classes that you've taken or you've been involved in, give us, a little insight, maybe one or two things that concern you with the male leads.
I will agree with some of what's been said. Is some leaders don't listen. I give you all the tips. I say, this is how I do it. I use this part of my body to do this part of my body to do that. Some leads will feel that they know better than I do. But it's, I would say that if there's somebody and I can see that they're not getting it, I would never address them individually in a class. It would always be, can we just practice this bit again so that the whole class practices it? I mean, I was asked last week when I was out to show somebody how to do the male and female Saida, and he got it because I, like you would do, sort of within the culture, I danced with him and I, just showed him what he had to do, and he got it. But that was sort of a one-off. But within a class, if I can see someone's not getting it, the whole class repeats it. The whole class repeats it, and that goes for a lead or a follow. If someone's not getting it, I have to look at my teaching, and is it the way that I'm giving that information out that somebody's not understanding? Do I have to change my teaching style in order for that person to understand what I'm asking them to do? So it could be that some people learn by listening, some people are audio, some people are visual, some people need to actually be shown physically how to do it. So it's up to me as a teacher to meet them where their learning style is. That's how you have to do it in any form of teaching. That's what you need to do, is to meet them at their level. I can't say that I've ever. It can be frustrating if someone's not listening to you and you are sort of saying to them, "This is, the way to go. This is how I find to do this step," and they won't. They know better. They feel that I think, why have you come to my lesson if you're not going to listen to what I'm saying? Because I feel sorry for the followers that are also coming to the lesson who want to learn. And if you're not paying attention, it's really difficult. It's not fair on the other people within the class. They've come to learn, they've paid their money to learn. So can you just listen to what I'm saying? But I would never say that to somebody in a class so that they felt that I was picking on them. And Dixon's right that in England or the UK, because that's only where I've taught really, people don't like being told what to do. So if you do correct them, they feel that you've sort of like picked on them. I'm not picking on you. You've come to me to teach you how to do something. I'm trying to teach you how to do that. Some are just
Yeah.
chatting like they're in the social. Yeah, that is another thing. That's probably one of my main things. If I'm trying to talk to a class, and sometimes it's a fairly big class, I can't talk over everybody. I have a loud voice. I can make myself. I have to shout. If your phone, go into another room. If you want to chat with people, have paid to learn from me, please, please respect that and let them. So maybe that's the biggest bear is people just chatting. It's only an hour. You don't have to look at your phone. Nothing's going to happen. Does that answer your question, Gary?
Yes, it's your point of view, and that's what the show's about. You know, we all have an opinion. I don't in the show, but you guys do. You're the hosts and panels. So, I mean, we've had another comment from Fatet. Good evening, Fatet. How are you? Some people do not pay attention to the teachers when they are explaining the moves. So, again, along the same lines, some people do not pay attention. They're not listening. Kathleen, she's saying we need to know when we can move up to the next stage, e.g., from a beginner to intermediate. As I said back in the day, Winston would attest to this. We were told, now you can go. You don't decide yourself. Many people did decide, and they quickly found that they were back in the class again. And you'd be like, I thought you left, and they'd be like, yeah, they sent me back down. So again, I think we've lost the strictness, for want of a better word, of people guiding us and letting us know when we're ready and when we're not. Winston, I'll reverse this for you. You've been a lead. What's some of your concerns from a male point of view, where you're leading in the class and you've got someone like Sonia? She's come round to you. It's your turn. It's her turn with you. What are your concerns with some of the things that you've experienced?
Well, I won't use Sonia, all right? But what I would say, my biggest bugbear is people that are trying to run before they can walk. Now, sometimes if we're going to do the intermediate advanced class, there might even be an announcement before the class that in the intermediate level, if you cannot do a Saida, male or female, you can't do Estrella, you don't know what a vehicular is or a retrocesso, that is not the class for you. You should be in one of the other two, beginner or improver. And despite that being announced, the amount of times people come into that class and then the teacher tries to start the lesson and then has to hold the whole class back, because then they have to start showing people those fundamental moves that they should have already known. So for that 15 minutes, we're going through Saidas, and it's like, well, you should have known this, So that is my biggest bugbear. People not staying in levels to learn and grasp fully the basic of the steps before moving up. I mean, I've been in classes where I've been in an intermediate class, and there was someone in that class who could not do a side to side smoothly. I'm not kidding. I'm talking about side to side in an intermediate class, intermediate advanced. And I won't say nothing because I'm not the teacher. But in my head, I'm like, what the hell are they doing in this level? Because there is no way when I'm going to do the whole routine, I'm going to get it with that person. But what I would do, I would try and then I'll just move on to the next person. I won't say nothing. So that is my biggest fear. The other thing for me in Kizomba classes, as a student, I have my responsibility to ask questions. If I don't understand, I must ask the question. I cannot criticize the teacher later on if I have not asked the question. Yeah. So I have my own responsibility to take on. On the other side, the teacher must also be reciprocal to the fact that we as students are not as competent as they are at dancing. We're not professionals. So we are going to ask questions. And they must understand and have humility to answer us in a mature way. And the reason I say that is when I was learning salsa, on 2 occasions, the teacher crucified me on the dance floor because they asked a question. And instead of, Andrea actually touched on it, instead of saying, I can see a few of you don't get this move, so let me go over it, he singled me out and said to me, do the move again. So in front of the whole class, I had to do the move and I didn't get it right. And then he said, that's not right. And he pointed to an experienced dancer and said, show him how it's done. He destroyed me. He destroyed my confidence. And after the lesson, I went to him and said, I didn't appreciate what you did because you actually put me in the limelight and I didn't want to be in the limelight. And I don't appreciate learning that way. He did it again a few weeks later. He did exactly the same thing. That was 2 times too many. After that, I stopped going there for lessons because my money's good. I'm going where I want. So the teachers have to understand as students, we are going to ask questions and we expect you to answer us in a respectful way so that we can understand what's going on. And generally speaking, Kizomba, that's happened. But as I said, my bad experience was in salsa. But definitely my bugbear is people that are trying to run before they can even walk. And they're not staying in the right levels long enough and learning the right things before they move up.
Winston, thank you. We're going to come to levels in a short while. Dixon's in the chat. Dixon's saying salsa and bachata dancers think they don't have to go to Kizomba beginners classes. That's a good point because they have some form of dance experience, but it doesn't mean they can't start from the beginning. And I want to throw this out there. I've known dancers who've never done a lesson, women, and they seem to follow on the dance floor, in the socials. They're following okay. So is it something that in the class they just can't get it? Are there examples of this? Is that a thing? In the class they don't get it. When they dance socially, they're fine. Super Dixon, in short, how do you find it in classes that you've taught or classes that you've been learning in? Do you feel like some of these women think they're so great? What about when they criticize you, Dixon, when you're teaching or when you're taking the class, not actually teaching, but when you're in a class, they're telling you this, that, and the other, and you're thinking, well, you're not so great yourself. What's your experience, Super Dixon?
With all the due respect, I had that very rarely. I'm not even trying to brag, but I have that very rarely. There's one thing that Winston said earlier about breaking down the steps, breaking down the structure of the class, And imagine in a festival, or most of the times, the teachers think like a composure of 3 moves, let's say, and put the combination of from the beginning for the middle to the final trick, let's say, and we have to break it down very well. I think Andrea does the same thing. Break down the moves very easy so that everybody knows the steps, right? And the thing is, what you just said about a lady can follow really well, that doesn't make her a Kizomba dancer. Because I can pick up any lady. I said this so many times. Let's say a good male dancer, not leader, a male Kizomba dancer knows how to pick up any lady and makes her look good no matter what. Does that mean she can dance Kizomba? Hell no. Hell no. If I say to her, can you do me a saída by yourself? What is a saída exactly? You don't know. You're not a Kizomba dancer. He said something like that. Like Andrea also said, if you do not know how to not imagine, you do a move and you cannot go above rule of 3. You don't know what rule of 3 is. No problem. I teach you. You know, it's
Interesting.
just again
Interesting.
to put into the dance. You know, huh? What you said?
No, I was saying that's interesting, Dixon. Carry on. Carry on.
Yeah, like I said, a lady can follow very well, and make no mistake, women in general can dance like quicker or better than men, right? And when you dance salsa, bachata, well done. You can dance those two very well. You have some knowledge of dance. Kizomba is a totally different world. The music is different. The music interpretation is different. The steps are different. Do you know what I mean? The rules of the dance are totally different. Now, can we dance in on when it comes to social? Bro, is everybody has to, we're not here to teach on the social. Nobody, I must say, the guys that are keep trying to teach the ladies on the dance floor, these guys are the ones who need lessons. And the lady should say, sorry, I don't need to be lectured. If you know how to lead, you do know how to lead. Do you know what I mean? I would even say to the ladies, do not waste your time with this type of dancer, because he doesn't know how to dance kizomba. That's the truth. Do you know what I mean? Imagine a lady that's been dancing for 12 years. Or imagine you're dancing with Andrea or any female teacher, but you don't know she's a teacher. And you're trying to teach her a trick that you learn, let's say, with Rico. And you look into the teacher, she's going to look at you. Hey, Andrea, give me that auntie look. There you go, the angry one. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Please check. Take a screenshot. And this is the thing, Gario. That's what I'm saying to you. Just because someone can learn easy, learn faster, do you know what I mean? Doesn't grant you the title of joining an improvers class. You know what I mean? Or advanced class, let's say. Because if I was in Foxy's position, if I'm attending a class and nobody knows I'm a teacher, and let's say I'm in a country that nobody knows me, or a city that nobody knows me, I'm gonna be the one making fun of the guy. I'm not teaching, because I'm just are you sure you are on this level? You know? Because the people that pay in the class is the people that should confront the other people. Do you know what I mean? Because they're there, everybody knows they're not an improver, but I'm not gonna say it, because if I say it, obviously it's not. I mean, if I say it, I'm gonna do the mistake that teacher did to Winston. You know, that's not a good teacher. Single out a person. I cannot do that. I will not have that conversation in front of the people. I will probably put him on the side and I said, listen, how long have you been dancing? How long have you been dancing? Maybe you should go beginners, but in a nice, kindest way. A solution for this is when you have someone registering the people in the class, you should ask them, how long have you been dancing? Okay, you're going to beginners. That's a solution already. But anyway, that's my short reply.
Dixon, one more thing. I think we've been a bit male heavy here. What about these women that are telling the guys they're doing wrong things in the class? They're saying to Foxy in the class, hey, you need to do this, that, and the other. How do you deal with it without offending a woman?
Okay.
We got to be careful.
Now let me say it. Let me say this nicely. And this is the ultimate thing. In the class, we teachers provide you how to dance, how to apply, and a good teacher will really teach you how to apply in the music. But we're not going to talk about that today. Maybe next time. Nobody, no male, no female, should be lecturing each other on the social dance. Nobody should be doing that. Do you know what I mean? One of the things it gets really on my nerve. For example, when some ladies are putting the pressure on the guy. Oh, you need to do this and you need to do that. And the guys, imagine, we're already struggling to get men in the game, in the dance. So Foxy is not just the teacher that is that's going to be the person putting you off. A lady that wants tricks or wants to look good because she doesn't look good puts the pressure on the gent, or the gent trying to teach you in the social something that he learned he doesn't know how to apply. Man, that's wrong. That's wrong. You know what I mean? I've seen so many situations in my events back in the day where a random guy walks in there, is doing all these crazy tricks. My students, they are educated. My ladies were educated to, sorry, before we start the dance, you're not going to do those crazy tricks to me. Straight up. And we're not talking about 30-year-olds. We're talking about 20-year-olds. in a university that I was teaching like from 18 to 25 or more, you know? And I used to always put that in their mind. Do not let the man force you to do the tricks. In the same way to the guys, if the lady is lecturing you too much, you just have to ask, and you're being nice and kind to her, you just have to say, do you really want to continue to dance? You know what I mean? Make sense what I said?
Yeah, I think
And I'm
that's
not trying to,
yeah, that's a very
yeah.
good response. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, I think it's just, I mean, we're here to all to enjoy the social dance. I think what everybody said today about in the class, everybody wants to have fun, everybody wants to enjoy themselves. If I'm going to be really honest, in the class, you're not there to have fun, you're there to learn. That's my take. But I've learned in my experience in the UK, I've learned my lesson and I adapted to the social dance class because that's what we do in the UK. We teach a social dance class where people come after work to chill, relax, have a good time, and be entertained. That's absolutely fine. That's super fine. You know, in fact, it actually takes off the edge of me being to be so serious. You know what I mean? But the fun, it's in the social. In the social is when we have fun. We try to test out some tricks. We try to have fun. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, you know? But telling people off, each other off, man. If we're all
Okay,
adults, if we're all adults, we all should set the boundaries straight up. What was our first show on Let's Talk Kizomba? Booyah.
thank you very much. That was
Are you
comprehensive
happy
by
with that
Super
answer?
Dixon. Oh yes, oh yes. And one thing I will take
Good.
from that, well, two or three things
Yeah.
actually, we will take from that the response to the women. So we need to be careful and be gentle because that could raise a whole new level of an issue. And I think also I have to agree, this lesson is a serious thing. I don't believe in a fun lesson. Yeah, I think maybe if you do like a workshop, it can be more fun. But I believe in these lessons, being serious and about learning, grabbing as much as you can in that hour. But again, we need to look at it. We don't want to lose guys, women. We want guys to come to our events, so don't be too hard on them. And also, people are paying their money. It's been an age-old problem where people pay their money. Um, they believe they have a bit more rights than they do. So we just have to be careful. And as a teacher, it's quite a hard job to manage that, but just something to take away. Kathleen's put a nice comment out there. When a social dance class is being taught, individuals will not learn Kizomba properly. Just my opinion. Well, that's what it's about, Kathleen. It's about opinions. It's about this talk. It's about the talk show. It's about Let's Talk Kizomba. Thank you very much. Fatet, she says, but when they're on a dance floor, they do not do what they learn in the class. So how do you tell them without being rude? Again, great comment. That's one for the panel to look at. Keep your comments coming, guys. We're interested in what you think and what your concerns are. We'll move along again. It's one for the hosts, I think, keeping the students engaged. So we'll start with Andrea. And if we can keep it pretty short, Andrea, how would you keep your students in your class engaged?
How do I keep them? When I'm just going to respond to Kathleen's comment that when a social dance class is being taught, they will not learn Kizomba properly. You'll learn Kizomba properly in my class. Kizomba is a social dance. I'm not really sure that I understand the difference. It's a social dance. I'm not doing an exam. It's not ballroom dancing where there are medals and stages and classes, you go up your grades and what have you. This is a social dance, but I'll teach you properly. I'll teach you so you can dance well on the dance floor. It's not that I take the dance and I take my teaching and I take my students really seriously. Sorry, Gary, what was your question?
The question is, again, how will you keep your students engaged? It's a hard job, as you said, someone's getting their mobile phone out, someone's talking to their friend in the other class. how do you keep them engaged and focused on what you're trying to teach them?
I don't think I have an issue keeping them engaged because I'm communicating with them throughout the whole of the lesson, checking that they've understood what I've said, asking for feedback on how I've shown them. Is there a different way you need me to show them? So if you keep people engaged and you communicate with them through the whole of the lesson, then people don't sort of lose interest. So I've been to classes where you've had the teacher stand at the front with his assistant and they're not even aware there's other people in the room. It's all about the dance teachers. Now, my lessons are about the students that have come to the lesson, have come out after work, or they've come out, before work, or whatever they're doing, paid to come to my class. So it's my job to keep them engaged. I don't think I've ever really had an issue, to be fair.
Thank you, Andrea.
But
Super
Dixon's right.
Dixon.
People will attend for classes for different reasons, and I'm not going to go into some of those reasons. But I take it that people have come to the lesson to learn how to dance.
Will our co-host agree with that, Super Dixon? Do you agree with that?
I think I just wrote
Engagement.
in the YouTube. By the way, don't forget, I cannot access Facebook or any social media because my phone is broken and I have double identity, so I cannot log in into the comments. But I can see all the comments on the side here, so I'm replying to some of them on YouTube, which is also a platform that we use for the show. Okay, so some of the comments that I'm doing is there. So responding to that, I wrote to that, Andrea. I said in social dance class, people would attend for different reasons, but unfortunately, learning is not the main dish for some. Which is quite sad, and I had to create a tough skin on that. Do you know what I mean? Because like you, I will provide the information. I will come with all the tools to teach them. Do you know what I mean? And one of the things, because I used to teach in university, you know what I mean? I was in university myself. I thought I was never going to become a teacher. I never wanted to become a teacher. I come to the UK and I become a Kizomba teacher. Jesus Christ. But I have tools. If people are talking in my class, nobody will pull the phone. And if they pull the phone in my class, I look at them as like, when you finish, because that's very disrespectful, and again, I'm not a spring chicken, so I'm saying now, pulling a phone in the class, that's highly disrespectful. I don't tolerate that. I do not tolerate that personally. Do you know what I mean? And again, talking, if I'm talking and I have people talking in the class, I look at them as I'll let you finish. Once you finish, I will continue. Do you know what I mean? In the nicest polite way, in that nicest polite way that we know. Do you know, because again, one of the things I've learned as a teacher is sometimes um, we have to teach in certain ways, some manners to some people. Do you know what I mean? Because like Andrea said so many times, you come into my class, you are in my house. Welcome to my family. Do you know what I mean? Disrespecting me or disrespecting, let's say, my students, my friends, is like disrespecting my family. That's why I have to change a lot. But what Caitlin said, it's ultimately it's the truth. When a social dance is being taught, individuals will not learn Kizomba properly. They will not. They will not. They will not, because if they take in the mic, they won't. They simply won't learn. And what we normally do sometimes is like we just ignore, because anything we say, and I must say this in a Kizomba environment, especially if your color of skin is not fair, you know, it's almost like we're telling someone off, or we're doing everything we can to keep the students in, and even one thing bad will keep them away from the class. So we have to take a lot of things that in a social dance class. Do you know what I mean? Like someone is not on the level, they come to the level. We know this person is not on the level, and we're looking at them, and we just have to shrug our shoulders and continue with the class. What I normally would say is like I let the students fight between themselves. If I have a really good student like I had in the past, they would say to the person, "You should not be in this level." And the other person, obviously, Lucky for me, the other person did the beginners. But the majority of the whatever anything bad happens, this person never comes to the class ever again. And I didn't do nothing. I didn't utter a word, But this is one of the things that happen a lot. I mean, and it's really, really, really Jesus Christ, I don't even know how to put it. If I could show my face in the camera, I would, but I don't have a camera working. But it's really, really disconcerting. It's like it's like sometimes you even think, why am I teaching? Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Because a social dance class is just like you are there to entertain them. You are there to make their evening a good evening. And to be honest, I'm an entertainer, so doesn't matter. I love to do it, and I love Kizomba, so it doesn't matter really. But when I think about with my heart, it's a different response.
Yeah, we understand that. Winston shaking his head. Mr. Fox, what's
Yeah,
your view on that?
I respectfully disagree. Yeah, of what Super Dixon just mentioned about students. I am a student. I'm not a teacher. I do not have any right to tell any other student this is not your level and you shouldn't be in this class. That's not my job. That's down to the teacher or the promoter, and nothing to do with me. Right? I recently had somebody in the class that we had to do a vehicular, and after we did it, and she was with me and she couldn't do it. And I looked at her and I said to her, do you realize that this is the intermediate advanced lesson? I said, the beginners is over there and the improvers is over there. And she said, oh, no, no, that's fine. I normally do these classes. I thought, okay. And I just continued. I'm not going to say to her, you are not in this level. If the teacher had danced with her and then saw that actually this person is not up to this level, it was down to them to say, I think you should go down. I'm not going to do that. It's not my place. Yeah. Now, I've even done a salsa class back in the day, and I tried to tell one of the students, oh, you didn't do the move right. This is how you do it. And she turned to me and said, you're not the teacher. And from that moment, I never educate anybody else. I'm not a teacher.
I'm not
So I keep my mouth shut
okay.
and I do the dance. I'll try and do the move with you. If I can't do it, or if I know you're going to come to me and I know you're not going to get the move, I will try my best and then I'll just move you on to and the next person is going to come and follow. It's not my job to tell you you're not at the right level. I think I've been sold if
Can I
someone told
answer?
me that. Yeah, yeah.
Can I answer, Foxy?
Super Dixon,
So
keep it short. We got the panel. Yeah.
I'll keep it short. I'll keep it short. So I promise. So there's a thing here which is like it's called, again. I've been saying this throughout the show. There's a thing that I always created in my classes, which is like an opening for everybody to work together. When that's why I don't believe in followers, and I keep saying that throughout the show. I don't believe in followers and leaders, at least in Kizomba. Okay, I don't believe in that. I don't use those terms. I don't. But there's the one thing that I always teach in my classes, which is a friendly environment between the male and and whoever is leading or whoever's following, whatever. Like I always make sure that there's a level of everybody talking to each other about the move. This is an environment that the teacher needs to create. There are teachers, like you said very well, do not accept the students to talk. Do you know what I mean? If someone comes to the classes, I'm the first one to explain we are here to learn from each other. So we need to cooperate together in a class. Make sense? But I totally understand where you come from in a sense of yes, in the theory is not your place, but then you're complaining to me and you know further that if we say something, you never see the customer again. You won't see the student ever again. That's why I'm just saying to you, I
Yeah.
think that if a teacher creates an environment where everybody feels comfortable to talk to each other, do you know what I mean? That can do. But I do think that problem should be sorted at the door. Nobody should be able to walk in to that third level. Do you know what I mean? Ever. When I was teaching in Barsasa Temple, I was teaching level 3. I would announce the levels. A lot of people tried to sign into my level. I said, I'm going to say it again. This is level 3. You know, this is not beginners. This is not improvers. This is level 3. It was like, and the people I know where the people are looking confused. Okay, you started to dance Kizomba. Oh yeah, this is my first lesson. Beginners is over there. Improvers is over here. Do you know what I mean? As the level 3, I would make sure to put the people where they need to go. Again, in the nice and friendly approach so that nobody takes on the ego. Makes sense? But I do believe that if a good class environment, everybody should be able to say their piece, if it makes sense.
I think we have to agree to disagree, because
That's fine. That's
yeah,
fine.
I think so.
I
We're
think
cool.
it's
We're cool, Winston. We're cool.
I went to a club some time ago, and it was so bad. It was meant to be an advanced class, and the level was so poor. And I didn't say nothing at the time, but afterwards, I spoke to the teacher and I spoke to the promoter, and I said, "Do you realize you've got people in this is the class I was telling you with that didn't even know what a Saida was?" And I explained to the promoter, "Do you realize there's people in this level in your advanced class that don't know the basic fundamental moves, and it's holding everybody else back because it took the teacher 20 minutes to explain certain things that they should have known so she could start the lesson." And he realized, and he said, "Yes, I agree with you. The teacher spoke to me as well, and I do agree with what you're saying, and they were going to take steps to address that." So to me, I will not say nothing directly to the student, but I will speak to the
Yep.
teacher or the promoter and let them deal
Yeah.
with it.
Okay, Winston, thank you. We've just got 10 minutes left, so we've got to keep everything nice and tight. We've got some comments. I must go to them. Andrea, such a beautiful dancer. I can't only imagine what a great teacher you are. Some love there from Emma to Andrea. Anna Christina, there will always be someone who doesn't like something or don't choose the right level, but you keep with the majority. She also adds, I saw teachers telling off people in the class, putting them on the spotlight, and obviously they'll never come back. I believe teachers must help on questions and explain it again, but move on because they struggle. You know, it's tough. And maybe one thing we can do, the organizer, or sometimes we use the word promoter, could probably, where they list intermediate, improvers, beginners, list maybe a bit about what they should be able to do when they take that class. It might be something they can do. Sonia, we're talking about levels there. Quickly, we've got like 7-8 minutes left. What's your feeling on it? The levels, and you're thinking you wouldn't tell anyone, would you, that you shouldn't be in this class?
No, I definitely wouldn't. For the same reason that Winston pointed out, it's not my place. I'm not the instructor, and that should obviously be done by the instructor or the promoter. That's their responsibility, not mine. I will dance with that person and then move on to the next.
Petronia, over to you.
Yes, I agree with Sonia and Winston. My issue would be, why have we lost the Kizomba police, the teacher, the promoter? Well, it would be at the teacher level. If they have declared that there's a particular level, this is level 3, and you'll have some people coming into that class, why is there not a kind way for that teacher at that time to make sure that that person comes out of that class and is taken to another? I would have thought there'd be a way of doing that. They used to be. I've seen it happen, and it was done in a respectful way, in a joking way, in an inclusive way. And it may be a few years back, and I've had people who I've known who have said they were thankful that they were shown to go back to a particular level, because it's just frustrating for the rest of the class if you feel that you haven't had a good experience and you may not come back.
Yeah, it's an age-old problem. We've just got 5 minutes left, guys. I mean, I've been to classes where one thing the teacher used to do, one particular class, he used to get everyone to demonstrate the move. So you'd go around and everyone had to do it, and you soon found out who couldn't do it and who could. So that was one way of eliminate, sorry to use the word eliminate, but eliminate the issue, the problem, students that come in and believe they are in that class. Everyone had to do it. You go around, your turn, and then you start to see people failing in being able to execute the move. That was one way. I mean, when we were learning back 12 years ago, the teacher literally said, I remember one guy in particular, won't name him, it was funny, but it was scary. It's like, there are some people that are in this class that are not meant to be in this class. And Winston might know who I'm talking about. When he said it, we were laughing, but we weren't, because we knew that it could be us. It could be you speaking about. So I think that kind of, we have to take into account that obviously people attending now might not have the same love for the dance, same love for the culture. They are coming to, kill some spare time, or their mates have told them and they're coming for a laugh. So all this needs to be spoken about and understood. So I think, yeah, all well and good. The Kizomba police, some of them are older, they've moved on, they've gone back to their countries, so it's very hard, but maybe you guys on the panel could be our leaders from now on and guide the new students. Andrea, just a couple of minutes left. What's your view again on this? Just trying to balance people that want to come for a bit of fun, people that love the culture, people that don't love the culture, they don't know, they just fancy doing something different. How are you going to balance all of this into a class, getting them to engage, getting them to learn? How would you do all of this?
I mean, just on a couple of points, we used to dance with the students when they came, if they want to move up, and we would sort of say to them, I don't think you're quite ready for the next level. And so, yeah, so that's always difficult because people don't turn up on time, or people come halfway through the lesson and you haven't got time to stop the lesson to deal with the person who's come in halfway who actually you don't think should be in your lesson. And you don't want to put the spotlight on them and embarrass them in front of everybody, but I would have a word with them later. As Dixon said, people come to lessons for different reasons. I used to always go to beginners classes if I went somewhere new, so I could meet, a bit like Sonia, so I could meet people, because I don't live in London. I live outside of London. So if I was coming up to London, I wanted to be in the beginners class so that I got to know people, and then I'd have people to dance with later on in the evening. So that was why, and I love beginners classes. That's my favourite class to teach, always has been, because that's where people start their journey, and then you can watch them progress as they go further. And it also, I think that teachers need to, this is my personal feeling, need to be friends with the people who come to their classes, to talk to them outside of the class, to build a relationship with them. You don't have to be pally with them, but there are some teachers who feel that they're, I'm not going to say too good for the students, but I've seen teachers who come, they teach, they leave. They don't dance with anybody in the social. They don't engage with anybody outside of the classes. Everybody knows I'll dance with anybody, and I'm always asking the ladies to dance, and the ladies are always coming to me to dance, ask me to dance. So that's, it's different when you run your own night. You can be in charge of everything. But if you're a teacher at somebody else's event, then you have to be guided by what they set the levels at, what they say, how they're doing. So yeah, there's not an easy answer. I mean, I've been in the dance scene since 2007, and this is a question that has been going on since then, and probably before I even started dancing.
Well, it's, as you said, it will be a question that will go on for many years, I suspect. So we'll have to leave it at that. We've reached the end of the show, guys. Let's Talk Kizomba will return in 2 weeks' time. We thank all of you for contributing to the show. Anna, Emma, Super Dixon, always in the chat. Thank you for that. Kathleen, Fatet, Janet, thank you all for contributing. Thank you to our panel. Some great points made. And our hosts and teachers, Super Dixon and Andrea. And another reminder, we will be back in 2 weeks' time with another episode of Let's Talk Kizomba. For now, we'll say goodbye and is goodbye from our host, Andrea.
Good night, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in and leaving your lovely comments. Thank you very much.
And bye from the panel.
Bye.
Good night.
And
Thanks
our
for
special
joining.
man, Super Dixon.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, to like and subscribe. Don't forget to share. And we hope to see you very soon on another Let's Talk Kizomba. Are you in?
Good night, everyone.
Night, night.
O Senhor que me tem, que me quer como eu sou completamente. Cada vez em meus braços me enterro outra vez, na certeza que o outro